Stormbringer magazine, issue 9, The Swamp Collar Shaman. Is he the real thing or just another showman?
Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll, an eclectic channel for eclectic games, and today we're going to be doing issue 9 of Warhammer Stormbringer magazine from Hachette. So this issue focuses on the Swamp Collar Shaman, and there's a nice little bit of lore in this issue as well. So the first bit of lore, as you can see, is the gods and god beasts in the mortal realms. So you have here, of course, the man of the hour, Sigmar, who in the Age of Myth basically walked the mortal realms, slaying monsters all around him, and was awakening his fellow gods to rule over the lands together. So he'd be, I suppose, the 40k version of Zeus. You have Alariel, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but she is the goddess of life and would be kind of beloved to the Sylvaneth, who would be the elves of the Age of Sigmar. You have Grimnir and Volcatrix. So Grimnir is the god of fire and Volcatrix is the mother of salamanders, and the two of them had such a titanic battle together that they fused and made something called Gold, which is something that's dotted all along the mortal realms and that is used for gold and other kind of structures. You have Behemoth, who is the Colossus of Living Stone that battled Sigmar in the Age of Myth. And he's the father of the Gargants, which would be like huge humanoids who have inherited Behemoth's love of violence. So I suppose not quite titans, but you would have giants and other kind of massive monsters that look fantastic on the tabletop. You have Argentine, which is a great silver worm which dwells in the realm of metal. And during the Age of Myth, the molten waterfalls of the Hanging Valleys were heated by his warp fire breath. You have Fangtrak, which is a colossal worm that roams the realm of beasts, consuming all in its path. And you have Nagash, which would be kind of the Lord of Death, akin to, I suppose, the Greek god of Hades. But what's interesting is that Nagash has had issues with Sigmar, because when Sigmar started taking the world's champions and recasting them as Sigmarines, Nagash was getting annoyed at him because those were technically his souls. So when the Age of Sigmar came about, and I believe the first edition of it came about, was the big battle was between Nagash and his Nighthaunts and Sigmar with his Stormcast Eternals. So it also goes into kind of other aspects, monsters in the mountains. You have the Stonehorns, you have the Magmadrots and the Dragon Ogre Shaggots. Of course, it has some information here on the actual mini that you get with the issue, which is the Swamp Collar Shaman and Potgrot. I have to say, I love that name, the actual Potgrot. So there's a great aspect of fun here. You have, of course, the usual thing that you can kind of give them traits and names. You have the How to Build guide. You have the How to Paint guide, which goes into some detail on it. It gives you kind of the basics on magic and mortal wounds, because you can get arcane bolts from the shaman. It has a little battle itself, which is neat to it. You have, of course, stats in the Warcrest on the Knight Arcanum and the Vindictors, and you have the stats again on the Cruel Boys. So it goes through a little bit of a playthrough, and you have the actual victory aspect at the end. But as for the minis themselves, the minis were, quite frankly, astounding. This is the Swamp Collar Shaman, and as you can see, he is a magnificent looking miniature with a huge skull on his back, which just basically steals the show. That's obviously one of the big monstrous beasts that they were talking about earlier. But what I will say is be careful, because when I was snipping it, there should be two of those little pots there. One unfortunately snipped off on me. Now I get away with it on the actual mini a little bit, but when you are taking these off the sprues, because they're very spiky and lots of tiny little bits and pieces, just be careful when you're snipping it. But as you can see, he is a magnificent, horrific looking creature with a kind of a staff, which is basically a hand adorning and holding its own little urn. You have the actual pot as well of goo that he's just kind of pouring out. You have even just little plastic aspects to including the swamp base. The layers of cloaks kind of cover the whole body underneath, so he's predominantly robes with a little bit of green, but just a magnificent looking mini. You know, I mean, this guy is superb looking. And of course we have the tiny little pot grot, which I just love the name of it. But he's just, I suppose, his assistant brewing all the different bits and pieces of potions. As you can see here on his back, he has all the different bits and pieces of ingredients. You can color them however you like. But yeah, he's just basically a kind of a kitchen lackey, but obviously loves his work. So the pot grot part here is actually a separate glue piece that you just put in, and I just put in a touch of Drakenhof Nightshade to kind of color it with a kind of Corax white base. But these are the two minis that you get in issue 9, and quite frankly, in my opinion, even if you just wanted to have these to display, a wonderful little issue to get. So as always, if you enjoy these videos, please like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff, and check next time for issue 10 of Age of Sigmar Stormbringer.